Hello, welcome back. So today we have our good friend AFR Steve. After further review, I appreciate him joining us. And what we'd like to talk about today, or what I want like to talk about, hopefully he does too, is YouTube, creating and running and sustaining a YouTube channel in our hobby. And I picked Steve because he's been here a long time. So my first question to you is, are you the longest? Is there anybody you know of that's been doing this longer than you in our community? Because I know in the New Year's Eve party, which was great with Dave and Ron, that you had said you've been doing it 10 years. So in August, I believe you said. Uh,
Yes, yep.
so anybody that you know of longer than that?
I don't know of anyone offhand that has been doing sports themed YouTube videos for a longer time. That was actually the reason that I started the channel, is because a game came out, History Maker Baseball, and I really loved it. And I was like, I don't think anyone's gonna talk about this game. And so yeah, so that's what caused me to set up the channel and shoot a
Nice.
video on my iPad at the time and edit it in iMovie on my iPad and publish it. So yeah, it was
Nice.
10 years this past August.
Nice. So before we get into that, I always like to ask people what got you into gaming itself. What was your beginnings in the hobby?
So I took a sort of a zigzag journey with gaming. The first thing that I can really remember being super excited about were adventure books, like the Choose Your Own Adventure books. But then I
Oh, yeah,
found
I remember those. Yeah.
this set of books. I think it was originally published in the UK, called the Lone Wolf series, and they were choose your own adventure books. But you actually created a character in the first book, and you gained items as you went through the story. And then in the next book, you kept that same character and everything that you earned in the first book. And there was a whole, I think there was 20 or 22 books in the series. And so the whole time you're building up this character and you're getting stronger, you're learning more skills. And there might be an item you pick up in book 2 that does nothing. But then maybe in book 4, you'll come to a passage and they'll say, do you have, a silver dragon key? And like, I do have, and it'll unlock something. But otherwise, yeah. So that was the first kind of thing that I really latched onto gaming wise.
Mhm.
And it was the story of it that, really took hold in me. And that's something that I kind of looked for as I continued or as I got older. And so the way I got into sports gaming
Which is
was,
probably why you like play games so well, I would imagine.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, that was, so when I found History Maker Baseball, it was like, this is, this is what I've been looking for. So, but the way I got into sports gaming was completely by accident. I was doing a random Google search for something baseball, and one of the hits was replay baseball.
Nice.
And it was like, oh, huh, what's this all about? And clicked on it, and like, well, okay. So, I ordered the base game. It came with 2 sample teams and played out a game. Like, oh, hey, this is this is pretty neat. And uh, got a couple more season sets of that, and then I got the replay basketball. And then at the time, they were publishing second season football
Mhm.
because play was on hiatus. So I was getting into that just as they were finishing up, and then it went back to play, and then I followed second season back to play, and then a couple years later is when they published History Maker Baseball, which then led me to start the channel.
Nice.
Mm.
So you were probably a little older than when you found replay, sounds like.
Yes, I would have been early 30s,
Okay,
I guess,
nice.
when I started. So yeah, yeah, 2000, 2004 to the well, no, I guess it would have been 2006.
So
So
were
yeah, it would have been.
you aware of games like Atba or Strat when you was a kid, or just never
I
crossed
was
your radar?
aware of Yeah, I was aware of Strat, just because because in the 80s and 90s it was actually in stores.
Mhm.
And so I had seen it, but I wasn't able to to buy it for myself, and it was one of those things. If I had been able to convince my parents to get it for me, I don't think I would have been able to find someone to play with, and didn't know it was a solo game because there was no such thing as solo games at the time. So I was peripherally aware that there were sports sim games, but it was really once I found that Replay Baseball in the early 2000s, it kind of opened my eyes to everything that was out there.
Excellent. So now you're on YouTube. You've been doing that 10 years. So I talked to Al a little bit about how the community's changed, and that was a lot of fun. So I imagine you've seen a lot more changes than Al. So I mean, all the big guns in the game, you've probably seen them start. I'm assuming.
So, yeah. I guess the biggest change that I've personally noticed is that it's gotten friendlier.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say this as delicately as I can, I suppose. When I first started, if you didn't know how to pronounce everybody's name on a team that played in 1968, you were not considered someone that was worthy of representing the sports sim industry.
Yeah, I could never do a hockey game again then.
Yeah, right. So that's why usually now when I do like the last game that I did with soccer teams, and I made a disclaimer at the beginning of the video saying I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I will do my best to pronounce these names correctly. But yeah, and so I think it's sort of a natural passage of time. There's change. Some of the old guard is no longer with us, and kind of a new generation of gamers are finding these sims, and they're bringing a different perspective to it. Because it used to be if you played, Strat or Appa, that was what you played. And they probably weren't.
It was a sin to play Atbo if you played Strat.
Yes. And I think now what's happening is you're getting people that are coming from a board gaming background and then finding sports games and are saying like, oh, I thought that, they were just math simulations and that wasn't going to be any fun because I want a game where I, get to slay dragons and stuff. So I think now what we're seeing is sort of a hybrid of, of people that either they're only in it for the sports, or they were, brought into it, from the board game world, and then people that play all different kinds of games, and sports games are just part of their collection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would. I think I would enjoy like wargaming, for example, but I already have a full-time hobby.
Yes.
And wallet wise as well. So I've intentionally stayed away from it because I know that I probably would get into it, and I'm finding this as a full-time gig. So
yes. You need to get into if you get into wargaming, find games that are like unit based, or squad based games. Bolt action is a fun game to get into because
I see you're leading me astray, Steve.
Oh, okay, yeah, because you can, for a relatively small amount of money, you can get an army onto the table, and it won't take you a year to assemble.
Not just that, it's time.
And yes, in time, yes.
My pile of shame is already humongous, so
yes, no, I would probably really enjoy playing some Napoleonic era game where you have 1,000 miniatures on each side, but just the idea of starting is prohibits me from jumping in.
So I know you do YouTube. Do you have any other venues? I know like Ron does. Is it Twitch?
He is on Twitch, yes.
I'm familiar with. So do you have any other venues besides YouTube?
No, I just I have a Facebook page that just supports the channel, so I'll post on there about events that are coming up. So I know I should try Twitch. I've heard lots of good things about it.
The only thing I know about Twitch is Ron's on it, so that's
yes.
I don't know anything about it. So
Yeah, yeah. I probably, I don't know, maybe that's something I'll try here in 2024. But no, right now all my videos are on YouTube.
Well, I assume there's a reason why he's doing that. So maybe if I get to talk to him, I'll ask him, because I'm curious, as to why he thinks that's better than just uploading them right onto YouTube. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um, so were you a serious gamer before you started YouTube, or did the YouTube kind of make you a serious gamer?
Hmm. I mean, I guess it depends on your definition of serious. Um,
So did the volume go up when you started doing the YouTube, or
oh,
you?
the volume definitely, yeah,
Okay.
sure. I was trying to think like some of the biggest things I did before my YouTube channel is on the Delphi forums. I had played through a couple of co-op seasons
Okay.
with Replay Baseball and Replay Basketball. That was a lot of fun. I posted a couple of different season projects myself on there, but I never considered myself, a big time gamer. It was just sort of kind of another hobby
Mhm.
that I had and kind of mixed in with other board games.
Well, the reason I ask is because since I've been doing this a couple years, is the tension between playing and YouTubing. Um,
Ah, okay.
and I know there's been a few guys who have quit YouTubing because it's interfering with their gaming. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
quite often I'm wanting to play a game and I don't want to broadcast it, but yet you feel that pull. Well, I haven't done a video in a week. Maybe I ought to,
Hmm.
and so that's kind of what that question is that tension between your private play and your YouTube, your obligation you feel to the channel. Have you noticed that
Sure.
kind of tension yourself?
Oh, absolutely. Since I have started the channel, well, let's see. I probably shouldn't say that, but I want, at least in the last 5 years, there's no long-term project that I've done off camera.
Okay.
Anything I've done that involves multiple games with the same card set has been done on camera.
Now, do you find the videotaping the games a detriment sometimes? I mean, do you feel like, man, I just would like to play this, or do you actually prefer to do it on YouTube?
Oh, I mean, I love doing it on YouTube. That's why I
Okay.
keep doing it. And ooh, excuse me. I guess the reason I started going live is just to cut down on the administration of the videos, and
No, no editing.
because
No editing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, because I mean, sometimes a 20-minute video would be 5-6 hours
Hmm.
of editing, reshooting. Oh, the light wasn't, whereas when I do a live show, maybe it's 20 minutes of prep work beforehand, half hour of prep work or whatever, but then once I go live, it's all there. And then when I'm done, I just hit end stream and I'm
Work,
done. I can,
work is done.
yeah, I can go to bed. It's, yes. And now I love the community that
Mhm.
comes on. It's so much fun when you see people coming back and watching, like the same season project, and there'll be inside jokes that come up that wouldn't happen if you were just doing one-off projects. And so, yeah, so I definitely, I love the, um, I guess the adrenaline rush of doing it live. There is definitely something that happens, and I think it really goes to the core of what AFR is to me, and that's to show people how much fun these games are. And that's what I always try to convey. I'll say, like, well, hopefully you get an idea how the game plays. I might mess up a rule here and there, but hopefully you can at least see the general flow of the game, see how much fun I'm having, and then you can decide if that looks like a game you want to bring onto your table. And what better way to do that than a live show and actually show you playing it rather than a slickly edited
Production.
video. So yeah.
Now, did I mentioned that? I mean, I've tried some live myself, and so far I've just preferred the recorded medium. So I know that there is an art form to learning to do it live. For me, it's great because if it's 11-1, I can turn the camera off and just finish the game. you know, trying to make that interesting in a live setting, is a challenge, I'm sure. But did you find? Well, my first question is: do you have a set time where you do your broadcast?
I've settled in on 9 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, so most people know when you're going to be on.
Yes, and I'll always try to get the live stream set up and then post it on Facebook at least a few hours before I go live. If not, I'm really trying to be better about that and have it put up the day before so people know what's coming. Yeah, it just my personal family life. The 9 o'clock seems to work better because hopefully everyone's gone to bed by that time. And so yeah,
little bit like syndicated TV.
sure, yeah.
Your show's on at 7:30. If it's like, well, I don't know when my show's going to be on. That again, I catch you on Fridays, but I didn't know if that was like something that you generally do, or if that's something that you publicize. Hey, 9 o'clock Friday, I'm going to be on. And so my question leading up to that is did you find that the live participation got better over time? In other words, like when you first started out, was it just you and one guy, or
family member? So yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing great, Steve. Thanks, Mom. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think it's been just the growth of the channel.
Okay.
Since I've gone live, because I probably should have kept better track of where my numbers were when I went live, but I want to say that my subscriber numbers have doubled since I started just going live. And people kind of get in the flow of things. That's another thing I want to try to do better in 24 is to have days of the week that I'm always on, unless something comes up, because last year was sort of hit or miss with but yes, definitely if everyone knows Wednesdays at 9, that's what I've been trying to do with my football project. So everyone kind of knows like, oh, hey, yeah, this is coming up. And but yes, I do. And I think a lot of research has shown that if you're able to have a set time every week that something comes on, you will, gain and retain viewers for it. So yes, that's definitely something I found. And although sometimes I do try to do videos at different times, just because there are a few fans that are overseas. And so when I go live at 9 o'clock at night here on the East Coast, it's I think like 3 a.m. in the UK or something. So every once in a while I will try to do a video at a different time so that people around the world can catch it at live. But yeah, for the most part, I do try to stick to those evenings. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays are my normal days that I would do videos.
Nice. Okay, we'll talk about this a little bit. I know I was terribly curious about this myself till I got monetized. How much money you can make, and so I talked to a few people on the side, and so just me personally, tomorrow I will be monetized a month, and I've made $75. So, which I understand is actually not too bad for your first month.
It is, yes.
So again, we're not going to get rich doing this.
No. And I that was something I would say to anybody who's starting a YouTube channel, and especially if they're going to be focusing on sports games, is it is not in any way, shape, or form going to replace your job. and not even, I don't even think you could say it's going to supplement your your income. It's basically you're going to make maybe enough to buy a new card set.
Well, that's what we were talking off, before we got started here, is that that's kind of a good way to look at it. I mean, if you enjoy the content of these creators, if liking, subscribing, watching, those kind of things, you're helping them buy a season a month, of APBA, uh, to
Yeah,
to
maybe.
yeah, maybe. Yeah,
Right.
if you go get it yourself.
Yeah.
But and so that's cool. Again, it's if you enjoy the content, that at least let's us go get an extra season that you probably will see on the channel, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah. Or um, there's been a couple times where I bought a game that maybe I wouldn't have, but I used the money that I got from my channel to buy it and put it on. And there's actually been a couple times where I've done a members poll. You can do a post on your YouTube channel that only members can see, and I've said, "Hey, which of these would you guys like to see?" And and they pick one, and like, "Oh, okay," and reach out and buy the game. So it's definitely it's not going into my 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 Bora Bora condo fund or anything. It's for sure. So yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of money, but yeah, it's not anything. People should not get into this with the mindset of this is going to be a gold mine, because I have heard from a couple of people that they've started a channel and they like put all this work and energy into
Hoping for that.
videos, and then they're like, oh my god, it only got 70 views, and I'm like, well, that's pretty good for your first
Well,
where nobody knows what it is. And so yeah, and plus just the way now that YouTube works with the algorithm that keeps changing. It's something you definitely need to put the work in to not just rely on YouTube to suggest your videos to people. You do need time to just build up a fan base, people who want to check out your videos. And that's, kind of going back, that's what helps with having the videos on at a regular time, is then, people without even seeing the preview for it will just click on and like, oh, that's right, it's Wednesday. And, but yeah, and especially in the last, oh boy, 2-3 years, I feel like YouTube has changed again how they filter items to the suggested videos for people. And it does seem like that you never see somebody suggested that's just starting out. It's always somebody that has tens of thousands of subscribers already. And
right. Yeah, that seems what little I know about it, that they seem to be aiming to help the big ones. But
right.
again, I mean, I never got into this. I was always curious about it, because you knew that when you hit 1,000 subscribers and so many views, I think now I hit the views a year ago. I mean, I did the views a long time. It was just the subscribers that it took a while. And so I personally never asked for them because it just didn't really matter to me a whole lot. To me, it was just the fun of sharing the hobby, and and that people cared enough to comment and watch. And so, I mean, that was, but again, if I get a set of cards out of it, that, so much the merrier. Now we've got a pretty small niche, I would say. I mean, it looks to me like about 2,000 subscribers roughly is about maybe 2.5 is probably the high water mark, I would say, for our hobby, wouldn't you say?
I guess I'll tell you in a few months when I'm close. I'm almost at 2.3
Okay.
on my channel. So
I think you're
so
you're about the highest. I think Dave's right at 2. I know ID has 4, but he does a lot of war gaming and stuff like that as well. But yeah, I mean, what I've seen, it looks like 2.5 is about the high water mark.
yeah, yes. So who knows? Maybe I'll have to branch out into some other venues and, I don't know, do some miniature painting or something on my channel.
Yeah.
um, so yeah. But oh, I had a thought and then I lost it. Oh, something about. Well, okay, like maybe it'll come back to me.
Yeah, no worries.
Senior moment.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, they're hitting me fast and furious. Um, all right, so we can go into what do you think makes a successful YouTube channel in our hobby? So, we've got I think of the guys who are doing a lot of subscribers, at least in again relative to our niche. They seem to be a pretty diverse group, I think. So what are some things that you would say in our hobby that makes a good YouTube channel?
Hmm. Um, I think the biggest thing is you need to be authentic when you're doing a show. If and that's one of the reasons why I decided to go live, because looking back now on the videos that I did, especially early on, the first couple of years where I was editing them,
Hmm.
it's like that's not me
Okay.
in those videos. So yeah, it's because people can tell, right? If you're just literally putting on a show for it, people can tell that it's not coming off. That that it'll look like you're just a shill, and um,
Trying to get views.
and just trying to get views for so just find something that you really enjoy, and then try to share that with your videos. I think that that would be the biggest thing. And so if there's a particular sport do you really love, then start with that on your channel, so you can make comments about, oh, what I love about this game is that it captures this aspect of the sport, whereas this game captures this other aspect of it, or or it doesn't capture it, and that that'll come through in your videos, and then
Kind of a passion for it,
yeah,
like you said, authentic and something like you said that you really enjoy. I think people, irregardless of the quality necessarily of the lighting and all that, if people gather that you're enjoying it, I think you're right. I think that's a pretty big important factor to getting people to watching the video.
yeah. um well, yeah, and one of the biggest things I would say to someone trying to start a channel is don't go out and buy hundreds and thousands of dollars of equipment before you even put out your first
Right.
video, because that is it's definitely not needed, to put on a good video. I mean, honestly, now the cameras on phones are
Mhm.
so good, that you can do that. There's free pro. I use OBS,
Mhm.
which is a
I do too.
free.
I do too. Yep.
Yeah, it's a free streaming software program now. So you can connect your phone to your computer and just have it grab the video from that. You can get really cheap tripods, and then just buy the extension that allows you to clip on your phone, and there you go. You've got your camera, and then you've got, hopefully you have lights in your
Yeah, I mean,
that you
again,
can.
that's if you've got good lighting in the room, that will be
Yes,
sufficient. Again, it's or even better if you've got ambient outside light. That can definitely give you a really good quality if you situate yourself right in the room.
sure.
But and again, I think that you can focus on that stuff, and I think it helps. I think if the audio quality is tolerable and you can see what's going on well, again, I think those things help. But again, I think at least in our hobby, they're secondary. Again, it's the passion, the love of what you're doing. Uh, you know, that feeling that hey, this person enjoys this and wants to share. I think that those go a long way further.
Yeah, absolutely. So, oh, and I just thought of the point that I was going to bring up about
Mhm.
subscribers. One of the reasons that I now have my chat set to subscribers only, which a lot of people have followed suit, is because it had gotten to a point where my live shows were getting bombarded
Right,
by bots who
right.
would post inappropriate links. We'll say.
Un Unhelpful stuff.
Yes. And so so that's I mean, and it's honestly, it's kind of something that it's sort of a circle of life kind of thing. So it's like if you're watching and you really want to chat live, you can subscribe, and then the subscribers helps my channel grow. So it's
Yeah, a lot of cynics would think, well, they're just doing that. But I mean, again, what little live I've done, you almost have to do that. I mean, again,
yeah,
if you get any people watching at all, you'll get the bots pretty quick. And so, I know like Dave and the other guys, and Al, you almost have to do it. So, but you're right, it does help your subscription.
so yeah, and and it's free to be to subscribe. You just got
Right.
to click a button and subscribe, and so yeah, it's a real easy thing to help the channel creator, and it helps keep the chat room clear. So,
Yeah,
you know,
well, I mean, and again, that's I would say I know Al is real big about this when he jumps in people's chats, hit the like button and things like that, and it does help. I mean, apart from the money, it does help people get more views and things like that. Like you said, the algorithms and things, if things are getting liked and there's comments and things like
mhm,
that, it helps it to go further. And so I will say one important thing that if you like a content creator, one thing I know for me personally is that knowing that people care enough to watch, that motivates me to keep doing it. And so doing those things are very helpful, not again, not we're going to get rich or anything like that. But, when you get a decent amount of views, that makes you want to do another one because you feel like that people care about what you're doing. And so I think
sure.
that's an important way that we can help other, help the YouTube content creators that we like, by taking the time to subscribe to their channel and liking their videos and make comments and things like that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and um, and then I guess another piece of advice I would give to people trying to start up a channel is keep going,
Yeah.
because it it's something that it just, I mean, I won't say that it gets easier. It gets it's more fluid to do, I guess, would be, because after a while you'll sort of understand the technology you're using. Although I like to say the second that I press live, I lose about 10 IQ points.
Isn't it the
Um,
truth?
it,
I go
so
back and watch videos and I'm like, what in the world was I thinking? How could I miss that?
it's, yeah, it is funny how that works. So,
I'd like to
um,
think that I don't do that when I'm not playing live, but the truth of the matter is probably I just don't notice it because it's not recorded.
right,
So
right.
I'm
And you'll have
probably
people
as
in the
as
chat.
goofy
Right.
offline as I am on. I just don't I don't record it to see it.
Yeah, yeah. And so keep practicing. You'll get better at setting things up. You'll get better at your banter during the shows, which is something. Actually, it's one of the reasons that I kind of continued my channel when I first started doing it. It was one of those like, I'll probably put out a couple of videos and who knows. But I found that it actually helped my public speaking, which is
Yeah,
something I wasn't
I can
really
see that.
great at
Sure.
before. So, and yeah, so it helps you kind of get comfortable doing that. And I guess it's, if you're someone that's really shy, it's a good way to do it because you're doing it in the safety of your own abode, but you are connecting with with other people, at least virtually. So
Yeah, just be prepared that there are a few unkind people out there. I've been really lucky. I haven't had much. I think I was telling somebody that I maybe have had deleted no more than 5 comments.
hmm.
So I've been really lucky, but there's a few nasty people out there. So be prepared.
Yes, yes. Although I will say that that's something that has changed. The first
Oh
three,
yeah.
4 years that I was doing shows, I was probably every video I had to go through and remove comments.
Yeah, I think the content creators have had a lot to do with that. I think because people like Dave and Ron and yourself, because we have made it you guys have made it acceptable to not know every name and pronounce it perfectly, not to know every single rule, super duper advanced
Right.
perfectly. It's like this is supposed to be fun. Have fun with it, and so if their attitude is everything has to be exactly perfect, again, you're not having fun and you're keeping everybody else from having fun. So I think that the climate has changed in large part, to folks like yourself and Dave and Ron.
Oh, good. I mean, because that's what I try to do is show how fun it is, and and that yeah, it doesn't matter if you make a mistake because it's a game on your tabletop, and it's not there's no money on the line. You're not
Or
ruining people's
life and more.
careers.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so and one thing I will say, I think what makes me a little bit different from most of the community is I am not a math guy.
Mhm.
Math is not my favorite subject. I begrudgingly will do math when I need to, and that's something that has definitely changed in the hobby. I want to say from when I started to now is that I think that people are seeing that once you get outside of our niche group of sports sim gamers, that board gamers, they do like to play games, but they don't like to do computations,
Mhm.
for the most part. And so you are kind of seeing things, where the math is in there, but it's kind of behind the scenes, which is great.
Yeah,
Um,
Keith that play games, I think, any, any game company that we have, I think they're the ones most likely to bridge that gap, to general board gamers. Because I mean, and I've seen that, I've seen play games on like war gamers. They'll do History Maker Golf or and they're like,
yeah,
I know this isn't what I normally do, but and I don't think you'd ever see Atbud or Strat on their channels. And so the way
yeah,
they do it is really unique, and I think it could reach more potential gamers probably than any other set of games on the market.
yeah. I saw a YouTube channel that I follow, the Dungeon Dive,
Hmm.
had History Maker Golf
Right.
on it, and he was like one of those like, I'm not a sports gamer, but I
This is
came
fun.
across this, and yeah, and he even compared it to certain war games where you'd have to go through charts
Well,
to
that's
get to the final result,
the storylines.
yeah,
Again, you're there, and it isn't even though it's based on math. It's kind of hidden behind the character traits and the book. And so yeah, I mean, they do things quite a bit different, and the results are every bit as good as from what I can tell. But and so yeah, that's um, I think games like that probably are going to help the our hobby grow, I think, and you see that
yeah.
because play is, from what I can tell, the last 5 years has just exploded.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They put out great stuff, and some of it's, I mean, especially with their Play Now line,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
definitely not geared to our sports
right,
sim community. So
right.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, and because it's funny, well, especially with History Maker Golf, because golf isn't my first sport, but I've had so many fun moments that have come up on rare play charts that really had nothing to do with the player cards themselves. It was just something happened. It'll be like a golfer gets heckled, and so he's dissing it the rest of the round.
Yeah,
Just
storytelling.
so yeah, yeah, absolutely. And like I said, that's really what grabs me is when I can see the story play out.
Mhm.
And because I mean, to me, I always like to say the example when I first was getting into the hobby back in the early 2000s, and I'd go on the Delphi forums, and I'd see people having arguments because they played out a season with some game, and the league totals and doubles was off by like 20, and it's like, really, that's that's what you're
Yep,
um
and too
you
many
know
fast
and
balls.
yeah, yeah, and so, and I mean, I guess that is important to some people, and that's fine, but it was like, to me, I could care less if if the league total and doubles was off by that much, as long as if I had fun doing it. And
Mhm.
because my thinking is, if I wanted the season to come out exactly the way it came out historically, I would just go to Baseball Reference and download,
Read all the box scores.
yeah, download the Excel file, and I could just go through. Oh, there we go. And so yes, I like the idea of a little bit of unpredictability.
Mhm.
Obviously, we want our results to be in the realm of
Yeah, you want Babe Ruth
realistic
to hit 2
results.
home runs in 21.
Yeah.
Those 2 home runs, there's something wrong there. But again, I had a guy comment about accuracy and stuff, and to me, it's like of all the big names in the game, if they wasn't within the realm of accuracy, they wouldn't be a big player in the game. So all these games, they're going to get close enough to make it fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I mean, and also that's a reason that I love fictional sets
Yeah,
is because it removes that whole
yeah, anything can happen.
big burden of, is this what the manager would do, or is this how this player would actually perform? And you can just create your own world, and it's great. um and it's still in the confines of uh what we consider the major leagues for all of our major sports. But so people have a point of reference. It's not some completely mysterious sport that you're showcasing. But it lets you, yeah, just have fun, and you can pick your own towns and nicknames and mascots, and you can make up your own history for the teams. And if you want to put in that poor hitting third baseman, you can, and nobody can say like, no, he would never
They would never take
come
him
in.
out.
Yeah, yeah. So that is, that's one thing I would really, hopefully, and I get that across in my videos, is if you're somebody that has said like, oh, fictional isn't for me, I could never. It's like, just give it a try, and
Mhm.
I think you'll find that it's like, oh, hey, actually, this is kind of fun to do. So.
Yeah, that's one thing I was gonna point out is that your channel, I would say, is less traditional, and it's kind of what you've just been talking about. You don't do a lot of ATBA and Strat, and a lot of the, you do a lot of play games, and you do a lot of fictional sets. And so, again, I mean, that probably goes back to doing what you love to do. Don't try to do things that you really don't really enjoy. And so, do you feel like that's because that is kind of a niche that you do a little bit? I mean, I can't think of really anybody that does it that's kind of got that feel that you have, where not a lot of stat based stuff, a lot of storytelling, a lot of play games, a lot of fictional stuff. I mean, do you feel like that's probably goes back to, again, you just being you?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say that's the reason I do it, but yeah, I think that is sort of my niche
Mhm.
at this point, is showcasing fictional card sets, and and showing people hopefully how much fun they can have, in creating their own world. Yeah, now I'm trying to think if anybody. I know, I do have to give a shout out to Baseball Demos. He had a fantastic series with the fictional history maker baseball, the Baseball America, where he
Yeah.
was like the home radio station for the Buffalo Bees, and he had the Hive talking pregame show, and that was fantastic. That was, and that's what I mean. It's like, you can do that. You can, set your team wherever you want, and then you can have your own fictional radio station with whatever name you want. And it's kind of like, it's a limitless. It's your imagination is the only limitation.
Yeah, that was a lot
Um,
of fun. That was kind of a departure for him, but it was a lot of fun.
yes. So yeah, yeah. And I have to give him credit as well. Baseball Demos. He was one of the first ones that did like a really deep dive, and he did a full season with, oh boy, I believe
Right?
it's the 1988 Braves.
I think yeah, it was
It,
I was thinking 82, but it might have been 88. But I remember it was.
somewhere, yeah. And then he actually did a video where he put out everything in
Mhm.
spreadsheets, and he compared his season stats with the
This
actual season
was a
stats.
history maker, by the way. I don't know if we said
Yes.
that.
Yeah. And I think that was really one of the first like big turning points where people looked at it and said, "Oh, I just assumed that because the cards don't have numbers on them and they say weird things like hero and whiffer, that they're just all made up stuff. Like, no, there's really solid math under this. I
behind it.
mean, I know Keith has said that he worked on History Maker Baseball for over 10 years
Hmm. And it
before he
shows.
felt like it got to a point that he could publish it. So yeah, it's like is it Ragu? It's in there. It's
Mhm.
so yeah, but that was a really fantastic video that he did, and showing that. I mean, there was a few things that were off, and walks were maybe a little bit high, but nothing that was
Yeah,
earth shattering. So
yeah, that wasn't weird.
yeah.
So how much do you we talked about this a little bit, I think, but how much of your content is what you think people want to see and how much of it is what you want to do? Where's that balance for you?
Ooh, um, it really varies. I will admit there are some stretches where maybe I'll be in the middle of a project and it's sort of like, oh, I don't really want to do that this week, but if I don't do it this week, then I'm 2 weeks behind, and so let's just, the show must go on. But for the most part, I'm just showcasing things that I really want to do myself. And if it wasn't for work and family and real life getting in the way, I would just be sitting here all day and doing those things. So, but yeah, and then I do try to sprinkle in new games here and there, just to kind of break things up. And also, I do find that if I just focus on one game over the course of a couple of weeks, that viewership will kind of go down.
Now, is
And
that
then
for your benefit, the viewers' benefit, or both?
so both. Yeah, so yeah, because
So
I think that people,
so you get tired of the same thing as well.
yeah, yep, and so it's good to kind of keep things fresh and rotate different games in and out. And then if something new comes up, I do try to grab it as soon as I can and get it onto the channel. And so yeah, so I guess I try to keep a good mix between what I think people want to see and also just what I want to play, because if I'm only doing what I think people want to see, that's going to show.
And you probably would get tired of it pretty quick.
And so yeah, yeah.
What motivates you to keep going? You had mentioned about how, to when your recommendation is to keep at it. What motivates you to keep going?
I mean, I still really enjoy it. Is probably the biggest thing, and then what I'll still get comments. Like I just got a comment on a video I did a couple of weeks ago where somebody said, like, "Oh man, I knew I shouldn't have watched this because now I went out and bought the game after watching a video." And it's like, and it's like that's great. I feel like that's vindication. That I was able to showcase a game that either somebody hadn't seen before or it saw and was like, "Nah, that's probably not for me." But then they watch my video and like, oh, actually, yeah, that does look like a lot of fun. So that's always great, to get that feedback. And also, I really want the hobby to continue to grow, and so supporting all these little companies. Most companies are a one person, maybe a two-person operation, out of their basement, and so giving them these videos showcasing their games and getting the word out, it's hopefully going to help the hobby to grow and continue to prosper.
I know I had something, talking about people buying a game because they watch your video. I had something as simple. I've been playing some Stratomatic hockey, and there's a rule where if a defenseman takes an outside shot and you get an 8, which is normally a rebound, you can do the option to try to get one of the forwards to deflect it.
Hmm.
And so I had a guy comment, "Oh yeah, I hadn't did that in years. I forgot about that. I'm going to try that again." So something as simple as that is really, really cool. That you're helping somebody else enjoy the hobby. And so things like that is really, at least for me, and it sounds like for you as well, really motivating. That when you are able to help other people's experience, or I I started doing some hockey, and I didn't have anything set up for a sound of a goal, so I just did it
Oh.
myself. And I had a guy comment that he's like, "Man, I was having the worst day ever. My basement flooded," and he
Hmm.
says, basically, when I heard you do that, it made my day. And
Oh,
so
nice.
it's just that comic relief. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
and so again, things like that is really enjoyable. So I really appreciate when people take the time, to say, hey, I forgot about the deflection rule. I want to try to add that to my game, or you're doing that but a little different, and that's really cool. I'm trying that and I like it. Those that really helps motivate, I think, us to keep creating.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've had people tell me they like my sound of the puck ricocheting off the net, off the pole, the ding, and it,
I know they enjoy your ukulele seventh inning stretch.
and
Everybody
then
loves that.
yes, yes, yes. I know it's one of those things, and I haven't really gotten much baseball on my channel recently. I need to learn a few new songs that I can somehow work into different sports, um, but
No,
yes, I do love
that's great.
playing the ukulele.
Yeah, I spare people that, but
Oh,
they wouldn't enjoy me doing that.
oh,
Now you're talking a little bit about uh, uh, game creators, uh, and I would imagine, if I was creating a game, YouTube probably would be. I mean, it's free advertising. Now, granted, sometimes when we're given an honest opinion, I mean, we may say something, but I think at least all the people I watch say it gracefully. They point out all the positives, and then very quickly say, "This is just my opinion. This may not be what you feel," and so. But I think overall, generally speaking, the people who make these games in probably appreciate. Now you have, I think a little bit more of a working relationship with some of these guys. Would you agree with that? Do you think they feel like that this is helping them to sustain and to create more?
oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Because like we were saying, that these are only 1 or 2 person operations, and so most of the time they're just focused on making the game, and then advertising is either a second, an afterthought, or not a thought at all. So that's going back. That's one of the reasons why I started the channel, is try to help get the word out. And so yeah, I would hope that most creators are thankful. I won't. There's been some that have not been
Okay.
particularly thankful.
Is that because,
And that's fine.
is that because of the constructive criticism?
Yes, yes. So yeah, and yeah, I mean, and honestly, that's part of the reason why I've just gone to live shows, and I don't really do reviews of
Yeah.
games anymore. In the traditional sense of here's the box, here's the overview, here's a sample of play, and here's my closing thoughts. Now I just play the game, and then people can draw their own conclusions on
Hmm.
if it looks like I'm having more fun than normal or less fun, or if I bring it back on the channel very often. But yes, I would never do just a nasty,
Yeah. No, you were
let's rip
always
this
very
person
gracious.
down, because that doesn't do anybody any
I
good.
said I don't know anybody that does that. It may be somebody I'm missing. I mean, and I appreciate it when people give their honest opinion because I want to know what they think. But
Sure.
at least all the people I watch, and you especially. I mean, again, I know that you talked about that really wasn't you back then, and I see what you're saying, but they still were very good videos, and I know there's been 4 or 5 games at least that I've watched your video going back, before I've bought it. And so I always felt like you were very fair, in your assessment. But that's interesting take is that your review is actually just playing it, and I hadn't really thought about that. That's an interesting take on it.
Yeah. And there have been some games that I've been approached with, and I'll take a look at it, and I'll say to the person, I don't think I'm the person that should showcase this.
Yeah, fair enough.
Not that it's not that it's a bad game, but just this isn't in my wheelhouse.
Hmm.
And I've suggested other people. I've suggested other YouTube people for them to reach out to, and because because some of these games, it's like it might be their passion that they've been working on the side for
It's their baby.
5-6 years, and for somebody to come out and give a negative review that's going to turn people away from even checking it out, that's not it's definitely not helping that person, and it's not helping the community as a whole. So I that's my philosophy now is, if I show you a game, it means that I like it on some level.
At least never
And
play it.
and then I'll play it through, and you can see exactly what the flow of a game looks like, versus
And then,
me
like you said,
telling you.
if you bring it back, then obviously you're enjoying it.
So yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and then you can draw your own inferences from there, but but at least that one video with the playthrough is there for people to go back and watch, and then and then I'm kind of a big believer in karma, and you put good out, and hopefully it'll circle back, and
Sure.
so
Um, so as far as and we talked about this a little bit already, is the content. So, you got reviews, you got chats like what we're doing. I know a lot of people enjoy me doing these chats, which, we go back to doing what you enjoy. I do these because I enjoy them, and it seems like other people do as well. So what happens for me is like, I'm interested in something, and I'm like, now who would be good to talk to that? And then I ask, and so far everybody's been very gracious and willing to do it. And so that's just, again, it's more for me, and so I'm glad other people enjoy it. But I mean,
hey,
again, like picking Tebow's brain on Master, that was just
mhm.
fun, or Al about the community. I don't want to miss anybody, but my point is that that's type of content. You got reviews, and that's interesting. Your take on that. What are your there's playing games. So again, that sounds like that's kind of your way of reviewing. Um, I know that there's some people will say that long videos don't do well. I've always been the mindset that, well, then people can fast forward it or not watch. If it's something I
Yeah.
want to do, I'm going to just put it out there for those who do enjoy it. So what are your thoughts? I mean, obviously that's kind of your forte now, isn't it? Just playing games.
Yeah. I do a news show
Yeah, your news.
once
Yeah.
in a while. Yeah, which I still do live. And that's kind of a good way to get a quick hit if there's, especially like around the holidays. There's a bunch of stuff
Hmm.
coming out. That's a good way to give a quick hit, and I put links to things in the show notes.
Now, do you have
Um,
to hunt those yourself, or the game creators reaching out to you?
Usually just myself. The news show. That's
Just
I'll
you finding things?
just
Okay.
yeah. And
I thought Hal Richmond had you on speed dial.
oh, no, he just oh,
You and Jester.
right. No. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say I know I should have more people on my channel, but interviewing's not one of my fortes, and so I do appreciate the interviews that you do, and then the interviews that Dave and Ron do on their channel, and then the what is it? Al call them the chat with friends.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
you know it definitely is an art form. Maybe it's something I should try, but but I do appreciate when people have good interview
Well,
shows.
I will say you're very good on the other end. I've enjoyed our talk very much, by the way.
Hmm, thank you. Yeah. Always fun to chat with fellow gamers, because unfortunately I live in a household that
Yeah, my wife don't care.
nobody shares my. So yeah,
So, but honey, Lindros had the hat trick.
right.
That's nice, dear.
What's for dinner tonight? Oh, yeah.
So again, you do the news, and then again, the gameplay is pretty much what you do now, right?
Yes. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then I always try to have at least one ongoing project where we're going through like a season with the same set, and intersperse that with one-offs and new releases.
Yeah,
So
I'm really bad for not finishing things. I imagine people who watch my channel get frustrated
oh,
because I'm going to do Maddox 95 with Stratomatic, and I get 2 games on the channel, 5 total, and squirrel.
right.
Dave says. So I mean, you're pretty good about finishing your whatever you. Maybe the key to that is not doing a full season baseball season replay.
Yes, that would be difficult to do if you're not like fast forwarding at least some part
I do
of the
something.
baseball season. Yeah, I mean, so football has been,
Yeah,
or at least I've found the best sport to do a
yeah.
season project because
16 games or
it is
17 now.
in comparison to all the other major sports, a much shorter season. And now um, with some of the advances that we've had with um, fast result tables that will come with seasons,
Yeah.
and then games like Fast Drive Football by Al Wilson are fantastic for either doing a project with them, which I've done 2 full seasons with Fast Drive Football, or you can use it to supplement your full play season and then play out all the other games. You could just control one team in your full play and then use Fast Drive Football for all the others. And
Now, have
so
you? I'm a little bit of a rabbit here. The Fast Drive Football. Did you use the ones with the finders? The 2.0, I think, is what it is. Like the
I
finder, who scored the touchdown, or
oh yeah, I think I did one video with them, but I haven't. I
most
don't
of them
know.
are just the
Yeah,
teams.
in the original format. So yeah, no, and it's another one of those things to I got to get to the FedEx store to print out the new.
Have you played his? I think you have. I think I've seen you play
Yes,
the fast inning.
new baseball. Yep,
Isn't that great? That
it
is
is. It
a
is. Yeah.
really. I haven't tried the football, but again, I'm a baseball guy, and selling me on a fast play is a tough sell. But I
Hmm.
really enjoy that. It's a lot of fun. He did a great job with that one.
He did. Yes. Yes. It's another going back to my math issues. It's I can definitely appreciate someone who was good at math and can put out something like that.
Hmm.
And that then a dummy like me can just roll dice and enjoy and not worry about what factors went into
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
figuring things out.
I love stats, but as far as I'll get a new game on the table, and there's so many moving parts. I'm like, how in the world did they calculate this for it to come out right? I was thinking that about season ticket baseball.
Hmm.
It's just so many moving parts. I don't have the brain power to figure all those paths and make sure everything as a whole is working. So uh,
Right.
I love these games, but again, I'm glad that we can support these people who do make these games. But I'm with you. I don't think I could do that myself.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm in the same boat as you as far as baseball being my first love, and so I really do have a hard time embracing quick play baseball games because honestly, I don't want to quick play
Yeah,
a
I want
baseball game.
I
I
want the
want to
stat.
know. I want to know that my cleanup hitter went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts, and
Sure.
maybe I need to think about changing them up in the next series. And but yeah, but definitely the that fascinating baseball is fantastic. Like I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
sure
good.
what else you would want
From a
uh,
quick play, I
from
don't
a
think
quick play
I can't think of anything that would be any better.
that's
Again,
not just a score generator.
yeah, no, it's not. I mean,
Yeah,
after you get through, you have a real good idea of what happened.
yeah, yeah.
I guess and again, when you start adding things, you take away from it's a quick play, but
Yes.
I would like the bullpen pen split up, I would like to be actually bring in pitchers as opposed to just a bullpen. But again, that's just minor stuff. And probably if you did that, it probably would make it not what it is. If you start
Yeah,
adding things. But
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I thought that was one of the really cool moves about that game is that
it is. I mean, again,
instead of having to worry about
yep,
fatigue for each individual bullpen guy, you have a bullpen grade. And I guess after through a season, the aggregate of the bullpen, it would come out to that one grade and saves you from being like, oh no, I used that guy who's my best setup guy. Now I need to go to this lesser tier one. So yeah. It again, the math of it all, it goes way over my head.
boggles
But
the mind.
yes. But I'm happy that there's people like Al out there that,
He's
and the fact that he does it for free
I,
is really the.
he could make money on that. I really, and it's not just free. I mean, he is saying that you should give to a charity,
Sorry, yes, it's
which
charity
is
work. Yes.
which is huge. And so it's like, find a charity you enjoy, and if you're having fun with this. So I mean, I think that says a lot about Al.
Yeah.
And again, he this game is popular enough. And his other ones that he's created, I'm sure he could make a dollar or two if he wanted to. So I applaud him for making a great game and thinking of others. So
Absolutely.
that's big.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Uh, those are the high points I had. I guess probably the last thing would be, and we've touched on this quite a bit, but what do you see that we haven't touched on? Maybe that YouTube does for the community. We've talked about helping people decide what they want, um, things like that. Is there anything else you can think of that the content creators and the YouTube videos do for the community?
I think it helps bring us together and make it seem like it's not such a big world.
Yeah, that
Um,
you're not so alone.
yeah, absolutely. Because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that are, they have to go down to their basement to roll out games by themselves because they don't have, nobody in their family likes them, and it's comforting, right? To know like, oh, there are other people
They
out
don't
there
like
that,
them, or they don't like the games.
what's that?
You said they go down because they don't like them. I said it's because they don't like them or they don't like the games.
Oh, well, yeah.
Or both.
Well, that's a different show topic. Yeah, so I think it's nice for people to see other people enjoying the hobby that they love. That they might not be able to ever get together for whatever reason. Um, and kind of, yeah, like I said, bring the world a little bit closer. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that the YouTube or other like Twitch allows people to um, get together. And that's again why I love the live videos,
Hmm.
because it is kind of like getting to hang out with your friends, and everybody's in the chat room. And that's one of the coolest things is like sometimes I'll be doing a game and I won't look up for a minute, and all of a sudden I'll see that there's some funny side conversation going on in the group. And so yes, it's a way for people that are maybe separated by a couple of states are able to get together for an hour and enjoy a game. Oh,
Yep. No, I agree. That's probably for me the biggest one is it's fun watching, learning about games, see if you want to buy them, learning different ways you can play. But I think you're right. Just the community and being able to have other friends, that you don't wouldn't have otherwise, who enjoy what you enjoy. I think that's just human nature. Everybody
sure.
likes to talk about things with people that they have in common, things they enjoy. So yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't do the live myself, but I do know that I enjoy, jumping in and, even if I don't comment, just reading the comments and, watching. Just again, it's just a place to hang out, with and then people are really glad to see each other, and
Right.
or
It's
something
funny as
like
that sounds, right? Yeah, but
it is. I mean,
yeah,
it'd be like,
yeah.
hey, they're Steeler fan, and there's Al, and so and everybody's saying hi to each other, and or Merry Christmas or Happy New Year, whatever it happens to be
Mhm.
at the time. Um, asking about, hey, I've been playing this game. Anybody else playing this game? And so yeah, I agree. That is, and then like you said, it helps game creators, I think, promote their games. I know at least by my comments, and I've sold a lot of games and seasons and things, and so that's
Mhm.
great. That's something that I think really helps the community to grow. Um, so yeah. Um, Anything you can think of on the topic that we didn't touch? Like I said, that was kind of I'm sure there's something we missed, but
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only other thing I was thinking is that it's, hopefully as our community grows, we'll be able to get more in-person events going on.
oh yeah,
Because I've gone to the play convention
oh,
now
that looks like a lot of
um,
fun.
every year. I did miss, well, the COVID year it was shut down, and then the next year I also missed in 21. But I've gone to 5 of them now, and it's the best couple of days of my year.
Mhm.
Just getting together because it's like the live YouTube video, but exponentially greater because you can just talk for hours and it was wonderful to see people that I'd only ever saw a screen name of.
Right?
So yeah, so that's I really hope that that more of those events
Yeah.
would start
I
happening
know
as
Kurt
the community
Berglund's been
grows.
doing a lot of that. I came
Oh
within
yes.
a hair. I think it was maybe November or earlier. I had the weekend off, and he still was taking. And I live I live southwestern Ohio, and so I was in a hair saying, you know what, I'm just going to go up to Milwaukee and see Curtin group. But yeah, I agree. Yeah, and that seems, especially with COVID past, that seems to be more and more. You see a lot of those popping up.
Mhm.
So yeah, I agree. That would be a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. So hopefully, and if the YouTube creators can help um, guide
Yeah,
game
organize some.
companies to do things like that, to do more events, yeah,
Mhm.
that would be a fantastic use of the platform for sure.
Awesome. All right. Well, I appreciate it very much, Steve. I enjoyed our talk a lot, and I really appreciate you stopping by.
Oh, sure. Well, thank you, and keep doing the great work that you were doing. I always enjoy your interviews, and it's a absolute pleasure to be a guest on your show.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right.